I'm Rajashree Nedungadi here. I'm an artist by profession. I've been in the industry for the last 23 years. And I teach all Indian art, which is basically tribal and folk arts. And I have been also working with paper, and I've also been working with clay. So I work with most of the mediums that are possible. I have taught more than 30,000 students in the last 23 years. I've been a guest faculty at a lot of schools and colleges. I also have a book to my credit called Pichwai Paintings Heritage of Rajasthan. I have done a lot of DIY articles for various magazines, one being Tarla Dalal's magazine called Cooking and More, a Mother and Baby. And Eurokids International School has a in-house magazine called, for the kids. So I've done articles for that also. Ganjifa is an art form from Mysore, which is from Karnataka. Now, there is something very special about this. One is that, most of the Indian art forms, a lot of them, in fact, have a history that most of these art forms have evolved from Persia. So that's one of the most richest in terms of culture. So over a period of time, then this Ganjifa art form moved to Iran, and then it slowly came to India. Now, there are different forms of Ganjifa art, which is followed in different states in our country. So Odisha, it's called Ganjapa. In Mysore, of course, it's called Ganjifa. Now, Ganjifa means playing cards. The Mysore kings and the royal family used to play how we have playing cards. They had similar playing cards, except that these were hand painted. Now, there are two shapes, either rectangle or a circular form. So we are going to do a circular form of card today. And olden days, ivory or very fine pieces of wood or precious stones, shells, inlay work, and it was even painted on tortoise shells, and all these things were used for decorating the cards. And they were also done on stiffened cloth, or they were done on wooden bases also. So various kind of things were used, various kinds of semi-precious stones were used for making these things. And all of these have different colored backgrounds. So in our regular cards, we have different, hearts, diamonds. So same way they have a different suit has a different color. We have a couple of designs like peacocks and elephants and Ganeshas that are used for these cards. If most of you are familiar, all Indian tribal folk art is all inspired by Ramayana, Mahabharata. So you have different kings who had different styles of Ganjifa that were made. So Mughal, there is a entire series of Mughal Ganjifa. There is a series of Dashavatara Ganjifa. There is Ramayana Ganjifa. There is a lot of art forms in the world are inspired from Persia. Ganjifa was started off in Persia, moved to Iran, then moved to India. Akbar has designed some different motifs for this. So it's a very interesting thing. Though they are playing cards, there are so many varieties that are available. So this is the brief history of Ganjifa. I'll just give a brief list of all the material. This is a Ganjifa design, a peacock. Now, in a 45-minute session, it's difficult for us to draw such an intricate work. So I will tell you what the solutions are. So there are two ways of doing Ganjifa painting. One is that the design that has been mailed to you, you can take a printout. Now, what kind of a printout do you take? You take a regular black and white printout that you have. The entire detailing and all this has been done in this particular image. Okay, so you don't have to do anything. You can directly start painting. Now, this is one option. In case you all want to make it on a canvas and give it a little more richer look, and then you want to frame and hang it up as a wall piece later on, you can take a printout of this design like I mentioned and place it on a canvas. Now you keep a yellow carbon paper between the canvas and your design, and you trace using a pen or a pencil. Now I normally prefer using a ball pen. The reason being that, let's say I have started tracing and for some reason I have to get up. So I need to know till what extent I have finished. So if it's a pencil, since it's a black and white design, I may be confused or I may lose track of what I have done. So normally what I do is I place this design. Behind this, I place the carbon paper. This is then placed on my canvas, and I'm using a blue or a red or whichever color ball pen that I have, and I trace the entire design. I only use a yellow carbon paper. The reason for that is there are carbon paper of black, blue, maroon, green, white, and yellow. These are the most popular colors that are there. Maroon and green are less popular. The others, I'm sure all of you have used at some stage or the other. Now, the reason we use a yellow carbon paper is that yellow is a light color. So if I'm, painting or I'm going to do anything with a darker color, the yellow carbon paper is going to get covered. Whereas if I use a black or a blue carbon paper, there's a possibility that when I'm putting pressure while I'm tracing, I may get black or blue smudges on my canvas, which I don't want, right? I want a neat finish, and I want and blue or a black is an overpowering color. So in case I'm planning to, let's say, put a shade of yellow, then people will not be able to. I will not be able to cover the smudge made with a blue or a black carbon paper. So always use a yellow carbon paper. If you're doing it on a black surface, not Ganjifa, anything else, then we will use a white carbon paper. If you don't have a canvas, you don't need a carbon paper. You are going to paint directly onto this print. Now the difference in the paint also is, if you're painting on paper, we are using poster colors. Then you can use round brushes. You can have a flat brush for your broader surface or a larger surface. You can use a flat brush. You can use a round brush. I am using number 4 now. And you can use, of course, the other important thing that you need is any micro tip pen. It's available for 10 rupees in any stationery shop. It's a fine, a fine micro tip. So anything you can use. If not, even you can use a sketch pen, a black sketch pen to do the black dots. For the white, we'll of course use poster colors or acrylic colors. Now, the same design, if you are painting on a canvas, since we have traced it, we'll be using acrylic paint for that, because a poster color you don't use on canvas, you use poster color only for paper. You will be using acrylic paints, again, any brand. So I've kept the white acrylic paint out to show you, right? You can use micron pen also. As you see the workshop, you will get an understanding of what we are going to do. This is a very simple, easy thing to paint. There's hardly any shading and it's just flat coloring. Only beauty of this art form is that there's a lot of enhancement work that we do in terms of putting dot work. So most of the dots are put either with black or white color again. We are doing a peacock design. We are going to take the standard peacock colors, which is a blue and green color. So I've taken blue poster color. I've taken a round brush. Now I have chosen particular areas where I'm going to, paint with green color, but you all are free to change the pattern. There is no hard and fast rule that this is where you have to paint green and this is where you have to paint blue. So go ahead and, you can change. Now I'm going to start with this broad area. Now remember one thing, since this is a printed design, don't go over and over with the poster color on one area, because your line work that is there at the base will get covered. So you dip your brush in the poster color. I've used light green. That's a parrot green color that I have. A poster color palette is also like any other oil paint or any other palette. You will have 12 colors: black, white, brown, 3 shades of yellow, 2 shades of green, 2 shades of blue, and an orange. See, I've just finished this entire thing. Now, as it keeps drying, I will be able to see my line work and my tracing work at the bottom. That's very important because I may want to highlight those areas. So I'm just choosing certain areas where I'm just doing a flat color of green on the motif. And so I've done this, the feathers, the neck portion, and I'm also going to do this outside area. So when I am painting anything, see, first of all, I like to have clarity in the beginning while I'm doing something as to which are the areas and which are the colors that I'm going to use in which area of my painting, so that I don't have to keep washing and cleaning my brush multiple times and my work is fast. It's better to plan where you want to paint. So this is all that I'm planning to do with the green color as of now. Okay. And maybe I'll put a little bit of color inside here also. These small motifs also I'm going to color. So this is poster color. The same process is followed even when you're doing on a canvas, except you will be using acrylic colors for that. So that is it. Like I mentioned, I've used a 4-number brush. You all are, most welcome to use a finer brush also. There is no issue as far as these things are concerned, like I mentioned. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use yellow color for the, no, I'll do a blue color. I'll finish off the peacock first. So I'm going to take the blue color. Again, blue poster color. This is cobalt blue. So you have 2 shades of blue also. One is a Prussian blue, which is a dark blue, and we have cobalt, which is the light blue. Like I mentioned, 1 coat of color only What I'll do is I'll try and cover maximum area, and there is some amount of line work that has to be done on this painting. So I would like to focus on that, on the enhancement part. So in this case, I'll paint two of these feathers, and then I'll paint the main areas, and then I'll go to the background. You know, the beauty of most of Indian art forms again is that see, a Madhubani also has flat coloring, right? आप एक traditional art form को इसीलिए appreciate करते हो because it's offering something which is so beautiful and traditional. Second thing is that you know, there are so many other, let's say, mediums and so many other things which are available, and forms, not even mediums, even forms which are available. For example, a mixed media, or you know, pencil colors, charcoal, and you have acrylic colors, you have oil colors. There are so many other things which are available where you can experiment with fluorescent colors and so many other contemporary things that is available in the market today. So, you know, why not retain the essence of our country and its culture and the diverse kind of paintings that it has to offer, you know? So I'll tell you all an interesting fact that, you know, if you all are familiar with an art form called Pichwai, which is from Rajasthan, Udaipur. So I have written a book on it called Pichwai Paintings, Heritage of Rajasthan. And other thing is that that is the only Indian art form in which there are 365 paintings for 365 days of the year. There is no other Indian art form, or I don't think there is any other art form in the world. So for each day of the year, there is a particular painting that is there, and that painting is put behind Lord Srinath Ji. So Pichwai means Bhagwan ke piche. Thing that you need to be careful of while painting on a paper is that don't, you know, keep going over and over. Now, what I've done is I've done the outer border with yellow color. See, there's also one more thing. There are no color restrictions in these kind of art forms. You can use whatever you want. So again, when I said whatever you want, I'm not talking about fluorescent and different combinations. I'm talking about the traditional Indian colors. And most of these are very bright shades. So you can even interchange. So for example, the area that I'm painting now, I've chosen an orange. You can choose to do yellow there and do the orange on the outer circle. These are small little things which can be your personal decision according to your life. Again, the peacock also one could change, because like I mentioned, in a poster color box, there are two more shades of blue and green. You can vary those, you know, change those shades. These are small little things that you can do to make it interesting. Now, there's one more interesting thing that I need to tell you about tracing on canvas. So I mentioned that if we are doing it on this particular paper, this is a printout, we directly start painting. But if I was doing it on a canvas, I am going to trace this entire design. Now, normally, whenever you trace any Indian art form, even a Madhubani or anything which has such a lot of detailed work, we never trace the detailed work. I'll give you the logic to that. Now, let's say this design. Now, when I'm tracing it, I decide to do all these lines when I'm tracing it with the yellow carbon. Now, let's say I decide to choose a royal blue while I'm painting this peacock, and I decide I don't want to paint with cobalt blue. So my entire area where I have done a tracing with yellow paper, with yellow carbon, when I paint royal blue, my yellow carbon tracing is going to disappear. So all this effort that I have done of sitting and tracing and the amount of time that I have spent in doing that tracing completely goes waste. So that's not needed at all. So whenever you trace for any Indian art form with a lot of detailing work in your original picture, so you only trace the main outline, and anything that you think that will be difficult for you to remember, you can trace some of those things. So What do I mean when I say something which is difficult to remember or difficult to draw at a later stage? For example, this is the peacock. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections in the peacock before the body starts off. So I can do this tracing also when I'm tracing my image with the yellow carbon. But the inside detailing, so all scales, all these lines, all these demarcations here, I'm not going to do them when I trace it with the carbon paper. I'm just going to do the main outline or the body shape of the peacock, and I will also be doing some sections which I think that I need to highlight, which I think are important. And then once my painting is done, in this case, since it's a printout, I am doing the painting only one coat, and my as it keeps drying, my print from the bottom is going to show up. Whereas on my canvas, I'm going to first finish my entire painting, all the different sections, and once that is done, I will be doing the highlight work. So I'm just going to leave this here because I need it to dry. Show you the highlights that have to be done. Now I mentioned that I can do the highlights even with a sketch pen. This I will do in case I'm doing where I want a little thicker outline. In case I don't want that and I want a fine outline. So what I'm going to do is, this is my outer section. I can choose any motif. So I'm going to do a spiral S. Those who are in this profession or have been painting for a long time, you can even use a 0 number brush and do the same thing. Like I mentioned, olden days, these options were not there. We didn't get pens and everybody was working with a brush and all that. Of course, brushwork is still fabulous and still very popular. It's similar to, let's say a competition between hand embroidery and machine embroidery. So which one is better? So the more amount of time and effort you put with a brush, that results are going to be completely, marvelous and different. There's no taking away from that. Having said that, this is also a good option for you to have. So this is the kind of detailing that I'm going to do in the outer circles. You all can Google. There are a lot of very beautiful Ganesha images, stunning images of Ganesha, which you can do with in Ganjifa. And peacock is, of course, one of the most popular ones, and it's my favorite. And some elephant motifs are there. There are different, like I said, inspirations from the Indian traditional books or stories like Ramayana, and also there are a lot of images available on the net. Now, all these, since I have painted them, I'm going to darken all these outlines using the pen. Okay, I've done this part. So it's an upcoming art form. So upcoming in the sense that it's getting popular now, so not many people are familiar with this until now. Okay. Now, one more thing, like I said, we are going to do highlights. So now in this place where I have done, I'm going to do some dots. I hope it's like clear properly. I've used poster color only. I've taken a 0 number brush, sorry, yeah, 00 brush, and I'm just making some dots. So this is how you highlight. See, this is the final piece. So this is the picture that I was showing you. Like I said, since I'm holding at an angle, my color has been dark and light in certain places. This is how the finished image looks. So this is a blue color. This is the green that I did. Your entire highlight. So here a Ganjifa will always have white dots in the inner circle. It's normally used for a highlight. That's a compulsory thing. These motifs you can change. This design, again, you can make it finer and you can do a little bit of variation as far as that is concerned. So the highlight is always done with a white dot or with a black line or a black dot and a white dot. You can vary these things. So for example, I could have done one black dot, one white dot in this inner circle. That is my choice, but I've chosen to do white since otherwise this particular picture already had a lot of elements with black. So yeah. Since I mentioned that I do a lot of traditional folk and tribal art, I'll start off with some of that work. So this is a Madhubani painting, which I have done on a canvas. I have a gold art work here. This again is on canvas. I have a Peshwai painting. One of my favorite mediums is pencil and pen, so I have done a Kathakali. I have also done quilling. I used to quill, so I've quilled for almost around 13 to 15 years. So this is a quilling Ganesha. Now this is a very basic work in quilling. I have done a lot of peacocks, I have done tables, I have done clocks and lots of things in quilling. So this is some of my basic artwork. You can see a kalamkari painting at the back. So like I mentioned, I love Indian traditional art form. Each state has a unique art form which is there, and there's so much to learn. Also, what I love about these things is that we have so much access to paints, brushes, and so many other tools today. These people used to do freehand painting, and they did not have any of these things. So whatever was available in their kitchens or in their houses, they used those things to make the paintings. So this is what I like about the Indian art form.